Aren't you tired of feeling sorry for yourself? Aren't you tired of that same old story that you've been telling about yourself that is preventing you from becoming the person that you truly want to be? That same story is stopping you from feeling your best self each and every day. That same story is keeping you stuck. And I know that we just did a video about getting unstuck, but I thought it would be really beneficial to have a conversation about self concept and how to change that, right? So I want you guys to really focus in and hone in on this message. Aren't you tired of feeling sorry for yourself? Aren't you tired of those same old limiting beliefs about who you are, the circumstances by which you've gotten here, as well as the fact that you are the architect of your own demise? Did you realize that? And did you realize that it is because of these limiting beliefs about yourself that you are remaining stuck in the same downward spiral each and every day? You have been habitually telling yourself the same lies about yourself. And now you have tricked yourself into believing these things about yourself and the world around you. But I think that we can change that. I think that what we can do is we can change your self concept so that you no longer believe those lies about yourself that you have been telling yourself for years. Whether somebody told you that when you were younger, whether somebody, made you feel a certain type of way subconsciously or unconsciously, or whether they purposely did it to you. You are now purposely doing that to yourself. So I want to talk to you guys today about changing your self concept, changing the thoughts that you think about yourself. So let's really get into this idea of self concept because I think it's super important as we are going to be heading down this road of self improvement, getting what we want out of life, becoming the best version of ourselves. And for me, I think it's super important to talk about this concept. And, lately I have been studying, the spiritual writer, lecturer, probably the last century's most intellectually substantive, charismatic purveyor of philosophy, Neville Goddard. And if you want to learn more about Neville Goddard, I'll place some links in the description down below for you. But this idea of self concept really does revolve around how you view yourself in relation to yourself and to the world around you, right? So the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself as it relates to how you come in contact with the physical world. And I think in the previous video, we talked about the physical world and we call it also the 3D, right? What you can see around you. And it's so funny because I was just looking at the news recently. News is something that is a trigger for me, to be very honest with you guys. Because I work in news with reality television and entertainment, I have found that some things are triggering to me these days. Hard news is always triggering, has always been triggering for me because it is really a reflection of, okay, the world is nuts. All right. It has been nuts. It's still nuts. And it's probably always going to be nuts. Perhaps. But I don't have to live in the 3D world around me. I can actually begin living here first. That is the only thing that matters. So that's why we want to start with self concept. Everything starts and stops with what you think about you. Okay. So I just want to give you guys a note about self concept as well, because you can have varying self concepts for different areas of your life, right? And what I mean by that is you have a you that may be good with relationships, but you have a you that you feel like is also bad with finances. You may have a you that is great with your family, but you may also have a version of yourself or a concept of yourself that you feel like is awful with finding jobs or, making more money. You just haven't tapped into that positive self concept about that aspect of your life, right? So I want you guys to notice and really take note of that because it's super important as well. Because I know that some of us think for some of us, certain things in life just always feel like they come easy to us. I remember thinking to myself recently in the home buying process, the house that I want is going to come to me easily. I'm not going to have to do much work for it. I'm not going to have to do a whole lot of, negotiating. It's going to be within my budget. It's going to be all of these things. So we went looking for houses and we were just kind of enjoying the process of looking at houses. And I remember thinking to myself like, okay, this is a great little process. I'm enjoying the ride. But we had an idea one day when we were sitting, and again, this was following inspired action. I was like, let's go to Matchbox. And Matchbox is like a restaurant around here. And I remember saying, let me just open up the Zillow app and see what I can see because most of what we had been looking at had been new construction. And I thought to myself, well, what if we find something that's already out there that meets our criteria? So honestly, the first house that I saw when I opened up Zillow is the house that we're going to be purchasing. So because I already had a positive self concept about myself as a home buyer, I was already able to curate the world around me in such a way that we were able to find a home easily. It was within our budget. It had more than the things that I thought that we were going to get. This was the house with all the things that I had always wanted. When I was in LA, I used to drive around Glendale and the mountains, like right outside of Burbank, and I used to look at the houses. And I would do this about once or twice a week when I got really, really stressed. And it reminded me of all the things that I was working towards, right? And I would just go look at these beautiful homes with these pools, fences, all the things, right? And so it's interesting to me that as a home buyer, when I finally got into the process, that I found exactly what I wanted. The thing that I had been looking at when I was in LA is the thing that I actually got, right? So for me, that was something that was able to come easily, right? Fixing my credit was something that also became easier for me as well. But at the time, I did not feel like I had a good self concept necessarily about my work. And once that changed, I was able to finally move into the career path of my dreams. And honestly, it's been better than anything that I could have ever imagined. Right. So I just want you guys to notice that about your own life. And I want you to think about what areas of your life do you readily feel like you're always able to conquer, like things are always working out for you. And then I want you to think about those areas that you don't necessarily feel as confident about. And those are the areas that we're going to begin to change today. All right, so here are some best practices and some things to note about self concept and changing or developing a new self concept, right? So, the first tenet to me is going to be this idea of practicing repetition. You're gonna change or develop a new self-concept about yourself through repetition of thoughts, because here's the thing: you've already developed a bad one through repetition, whether you knew it or not, right? So, what you're going to have to do is recognize that you have been telling yourself these things, and you've developed a pattern of negative self-talk for such a long time that that's how you got there. It's the same stories you've been telling yourself, right? And it's the same stories that you've been telling yourself that have led you to this place of feeling hopelessness. Trust me, I know it. I am the person that when I wake up in the morning, that is the hardest time for me. But that is also the time when I have to do the most self work, right? To wake up and then first say, you know what? Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning because listen, it's a blessing to see another day. Right there, I'm already in a mindset of gratitude, right? So the next thought is, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy I get an opportunity to do all of this over again. I'm happy I get an opportunity to go downstairs and make some breakfast, to do my push-ups, to make up the bed, to brush my teeth, scrape my tongue, do all of the things, right? So it takes practice is what I'm trying to tell you, right? And also, I think that it's important to practice a strict mental diet. You have to gain control over the inner conversations that you are having with yourself on a day to day basis. That is the only way that you are going to develop a self concept that is very positive, that is very meaningful, that is very valuable, that is very much different from what it is that you had been currently or potentially previously experiencing globally in your life, right? And what I mean by globally is, whether it was relationships, finances, whatever the case may be, the goal is to get you to a place where overall you are that person, right? You are that person. All right. There's a lot of talk these days about main character energy. And I think what that means is like you are the star of the show. You are the star of your own show. So you need to act like it, right? And it begins with these internal conversations that we're having ourselves from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. So, what I'm asking you to do is visualize, okay? I need you to, the visions are firmly placed in your mind. If you watched previous videos, I've talked to you guys about visualizing myself in Switzerland or visualizing myself on a business class flight, for 9 hours, and that feeling of laying back in the seat, lifting my feet up above my head, sipping champagne as the attendant, wheels the meal cart by and I'm being served filet mignon. I don't know what airline is doing that, but you know what I'm saying. It's that feeling. All right. I can visualize every little minute of that. I don't know if I've told this story yet, but I woke up one morning. It was, I think, in November. And I remember saying as we woke up in the morning, I said, you know what, babe? I feel like I looked out the window and of course, outside of our window currently, there are like houses, like, it's a row of like townhomes or something like that. And, it was a nice day or whatever. And I remember saying, I see palm trees. I see ocean. Mind you, we don't live anywhere near the ocean, right? At this point in time. But and nor do we live in a place where there's palm trees. So I was like, I see all that. And so I was like, babe, I can see it. Can you see it? And so we were sitting at breakfast about 2 hours later. And the next thing that came up was, do you want to go to Miami? I was like, absolutely. So the next thing you know, we had booked tickets to Miami. And it was just like, I wouldn't have thought that we would have just done that on a whim. But because I saw it, I was able to do it, right? And I didn't even purchase the tickets, to be honest with you. So that's one of those things that I mean by visualizing what it is that you can see yourself doing, right? You have to verbally affirm it as well. I talk about those things. In that Miami example, I woke up, I saw it, I said it. I said it aloud, right? And then also controlling the inner conversations that you have with yourself, right? I didn't limit myself by saying, oh, that won't happen today. I just saw it in my mind and thought I could really be there. I'm there already. That was the other thing. I didn't just think I was going to be there. I felt like I was already there. So it's also about, like I said, picturing yourself there now, right? Telling yourself, this is what I see. And it should feel good. That morning in Miami, as I was in Miami here, it felt good. I could feel the sun on my skin. I could just feel it. And mind you, it's the like the peak of fall here. So just an example of what I'm saying to you about, practice, repetition, visualize, verbally affirm, and then controlling the conversations that you have in your mind, right? And then that feeling should always feel good. So the next thing that I want you guys to do is develop a strict mental diet. We touched a little bit on this previously, but it's not really just about watching your thoughts or brushing aside a negative or opposing thought, as much as it is about becoming aware of becoming aware of your thoughts first, and then immediately cutting the negative thought before it can finish forming. And then at the end of the day, well, not the end of the day, but right then and there, you're going to replace that negative thought with a positive one. So I've heard this thing where it's really an Abraham Hicks thing, and we'll talk more about Abraham as we go along in this in our studies. But I remember vividly thinking or hearing and remembering her talk about this notion that it only takes 17 seconds for a thought to fully begin to affect you, right? So that is why it's super important to say to yourself when you are having a negative thought or what they call an opposing thought that, oh, you know what? I'm having this thought right now and it's not making me feel the best. I'm going to replace it with something that I know makes me feel good, right? Um, a mental trick that I use is so funny to me. One of my favorite shows has always been Scandal. So whenever I'm having, and this is just one example, whenever I'm having a negative thought, I immediately start thinking about Scandal. The show just makes me feel good, especially episode one, season one. The fast talking, the Olivia Poping of it all. You know what I'm saying? There's a good vibe about it for me. There's a great memory of it for me, and it's that first specific episode, that first specific season is so specific to me, and I always know that it can always pull me back into a state of feeling good. Lately, I have been walking around my home, like listening to music, watching concerts that make me feel so good when I have a little downtime. As I'm making my breakfast, I am listening to things that make me feel good. I'm listening to Abraham Hicks audios on YouTube. I'm listening to Neville Goddard audios on YouTube. I am actually in the process of continuously filling my mind with things that I love. And that's a great way to sort of replace that negative thought. Even sometimes what I have learned is that I began to believe that I needed to justify like the I was justified for thinking the negative or anxious thought. Like, oh my God, I still have, these taxes to pay or this bill is still due. Well, guess what? That bill is going to be due whether you think about it all day or not. So the only thing that you can do is either pay the bill, okay, or make plans to pay it, develop a payment plan, and keep it pushing. What you cannot do is stress aimlessly about something that you can either A, control by doing something, or B, not control. So what can you do, right? The only thing that you can do is continue to fill your mind with positive ideas, positive affirmations. And I know for some of you this may be a new thing, and I know that it's not going to always feel the best when you first start doing this, and it's going to feel like you're faking it to a certain degree. But I need you to get into the mindset of immediately changing that thought, cutting that negative thought off, and then turning it into a positive one. And I want you to be patient with yourself. You've been thinking these negative thoughts for years. Man, this cycle that you have been on has been going on for years, myself included. I told you guys notoriously the mornings are the hardest time for me, and I am learning to change that to where mornings are the best thing for me. See, I'm actually working it right now, right? Mornings are the best for me. I wake up in the morning thankful. I wake up in the morning super excited about the day. I wake up in the morning ready to accomplish the things that are on my to-do list, ready to hit that Peloton for 30 minutes, ready to do my morning push-ups, ready to, text my mom or my dad, or my family or my friends. I am ready. So I am ready to tackle the day, that next script, that next book. I'm ready to do it all. And the more you begin to repeat this process and practice it, the more it will become habitual to you. So you've got to be persistent in this process because it doesn't have to take long for you to change your self concept. You just have to be deliberate about what you think about yourself each and every moment. And again, I mean, it's all about, there's a human aspect of this as well, right? So things will come. I'm not saying that, oh, we can only experience positive things, right? But we don't have to react to things in a way that's negative. We don't have to mentally respond to things in a way that's negative. And as soon as the negative thought comes, we can be deliberate about what we change that thought to. So I want you to also recognize that you have been the source of your own discontent. This was a wake up call for me. Um, you know, I was in the habit of feeling like, well, I need to be worried about this. This is happening. It's a scary time, oh, this is what the news is reporting, or this is that. This is, or this bill is still due, or these taxes are still due, or I've got all this work to do and I'm overwhelmed. Like, so you feel like almost justified for feeling that way because of the circumstances that are existing in the 3D reality. But now that you know better, you can do better. You can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle at this point. You know that now you can do something different. So now you will do something different. You're already doing something different because you're watching this video. So there is going to be no more victim mentality, no more self-doubt, or dwelling on thoughts that disempower you to do nothing. I want you to take a look at that. That disempower you. These thoughts that you've been experiencing are taking away your power. And then you're doing nothing. You're not moving forward. You're not achieving. You're not manifesting anything. You're just stuck in a state of continuous sorrow, and it's not helpful. So what you can do now is you can begin to free yourself from that sorrow, because now you know the steps to take, and you can simply repeat those daily or whenever the thoughts come and practice it so that it does become easy. All of this is going to take a little bit of practice. That's all it takes. It's mental. It's all here, and you can do it. And I always like to go back to this, and we talked about this in a previous video. You don't have to feel like this isn't going to be comfortable at the beginning. It's going to feel a little strange. But I thought that we would go over this because I really wanted us to get this into our minds. So many of us fear the unknown, and we fear the things that we've never done. But if we begin to take these little uncomfortable steps one at a time and one at a time, and we start to celebrate the small wins, I changed my thought. I did this. I did that. I redirected this thought. I cut off that negative thought. I did this. I did that. Think about what you can accomplish and then celebrate that. Celebrate every single time you are able to cut off one negative thought and move and shift into a positive one, because now you've replaced it with something that is true. Because what you were doing before, they were all lies. Everything that you were thinking about yourself, it was a lie. Because the new you knows better. And the new you is happening right now as you're watching this video. Do you think that you're here by accident? You're not. You're not. You are absolutely not here by accident. You are here because this is where you're supposed to be. So with that being said, guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning in, tapping into another video. Let me know again if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns in the comment section, or if you have requests for me to do a specific topic. But we're going to continue this journey one step at a time, one day at a time. Be gentle with yourself. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, but each and every step along the way, a building is built. So we're building, and I can't wait to see where you all end up. All right. With that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button so that you can be tapped in, tuned in, turned on to every time we drop a new video on this channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video.